Okay, so it's 4:30. I swear, I don't even know what I'm gonna fucking talk about. But it's so shitty. God, I am. This is rain and rain and rain and rain. And yesterday, after I said the sun is gone, so it came out like so bright, and there was like nothing in the sky. A couple of clouds, big puffy white clouds, and the sun just beating down. And then I don't know, I think it lasted like a half hour, maybe an hour, and then it just turned back into this weird sky. It's like layers. It's not just overcast. It's like layers of atmosphere or something. And the temperatures is all over the place. Or it'll be like really cold and then it'll be really hot. What was that? It was another weird thing with this weather that oh, I thought it was weird yesterday when I found fruit flies. I was like, fruit flies when it like I thought that was weird. But let me think, because it keeps seeming like keeps being lots of weird things. It just seemed like strange. And last night, I know I can't be the only person who had such an issue trying to sleep. Oh my God. Like, you know what's irritating too? Is like on TikTok, everybody uses sounds. Like, it's so annoying. I don't understand why everybody puts sounds on all their videos. Even people talking. It's like if you're trying to hear, I don't know. It's strange, but they'll use the same sounds over and over again because something about certain sounds go more popular. So you have these people that use these same fucking songs. And so video after video, these same songs, they get stuck in your head. And then, and it's just some weird little snippet out of a song. And then I've heard it all night long, over and over and over and over. And it's like, oh my God, I'm going to go insane. And, oh, and I'll tell the update on Archie. So, so the whole thing, I can't remember what I had finished saying. So I had messaged the lady who was interested, and then I hadn't heard from her. And so then the next morning, I don't know, they were sending me the stuff to adopt him. There's papers you got to fill out, like if you're making payments, because I'm making payments. And you only get a few payments. You don't get to, like, drag it out for a year or something. And then so she was messaging me about the paperwork or something. And right as she's messaging me, the lady messages me. And she starts saying that, sorry, they missed my call. She's at work. She really is interested of meeting and all this stuff. And so I just was totally honest back at her. And I told about his different personality stuff. And I said, I think it's probably from anxiety from moving like 3 houses in less than 2 months. And I think it's 3 houses in like a month because he's been here for 3 weeks. And he left the one person's house. He went to the rescue place. And I don't know if he was there for a week, 2 weeks, or how long he was there. And then to my house. So, and then it would be going to another one. And dogs, people just don't want to acknowledge dogs have emotions. And it troubles them. Like, they feel rejection and abandonment just like we do. It's fucking heartbreaking to see some of these dogs all sitting. I just saw one video of a dog who's been in, thank God that they're not putting him to death, but do that all day long. But he's been in waiting for someone to adopt him for 686 days. Like a life just living. There's so many of these dogs that just their life just becomes inside these pens and like a jail. And then people out there just keep having their dogs have puppies, and people just keep going and getting puppies, and then puppies become, they've got issues. Even still, like, I know a lot of people like go get these big giant dogs, and they don't think about the bad side of having them. Like, you have to really have you got to deal with a lot of spit, a lot of slobber. If you get like a big dog like that has the saggy jowls, like a Saint Bernard. Like, I don't know about that. A Rottweiler is his drooly. And I don't know about the, what are those big herding dogs? I can't remember what they're called. I used to want one so much. Great Pyrenees. I thought those were so cool when I was a kid. I wanted a Great Pyrenees. So it's no wonder I have a big giant dog. And then another one. I can't remember what they're called. But definitely Stella's breed is very slobbery. Oh, I think definitely the bull mastiffs too, I think are really slobbery. And I was trying to think if so anyways, there's certain things that people don't think about, and they're demanding, hungry. There's a lot of things, and I just saw another sad story. Oh no, people get the dogs and they don't understand the breed, and then the breed drives them crazy, so then they give them over to the shelters, and shelters are full, and people just keep consuming and consuming and consuming. It's like, when does it stop? When do we stop and say, oh, we got an issue? It just is this mindless consumption, and it just keeps going and going. And also, like, dogs have no emotions or feelings. So anyways, I feel like a part of his behaviors is definitely a little aggressive on, especially on Max. He doesn't do it to Stella. Stella, he's still scared of. He still just goes totally froze. But he's doing better. Like, he's letting Stella come up. Dogs all want to sniff each other's butts and sniff each other's genitals. It has something to do with how they can smell. It tells them things like about the dog, the DNA. I don't know. It's a whole thing. And so he would get really put off. He even had growled at her a couple times. And so that's where I have to be like right on top of stuff, because things could just go. And I don't think that he would, but I don't know what his, where his rage starts. Because he definitely started with this bullying Max. Max is so, he's such a sweetheart. He's so passive. He just is like, he's like Stella too. Because when Millie came in and was attacking Stella, then Stella would, she would just block Millie from me. And, but wouldn't fight back, wouldn't try and fight back and hurt the other dog. And, even with Jack, when Jack was here and he was biting her all the time, I swear to God, he bit one of those things open, because that one on her leg opened up, and he was constantly biting her on the back of the legs. Well, that's what Archie was doing to Max. So I have to keep stopping. And the thing is that Archie stops. He'll stop, and he'll stop everything he's doing and stop and listen to me, and he'll go settle when I tell him to stop, and they got to play nice and all that stuff. He listens. And so that's where it's like, he is in this thing where he wants to please me. And that's why I feel like, God, he would feel so rejected, and he wants to sleep on me. He's always got those beady eyes looking at me. He's like a little frog boy. He's always looking at me, following me around. The crying thing, the screaming, if he can't see me. It's so funny. They went, and then him and Max just charge through the door all day long. And then they can't get in, and then they want me to open and close it a million times a day. And so they had gone out, and I was back in the bedroom. I think I got a package, and I was looking at my stuff. And which, to me, the mail thing is really showing there's issues out here by me. So it's starting to fall apart out here, unless it cleans itself back up again. But it seems like it's going south. And so I was back there, and he was at the door. I could hear him at the door, and I just stayed back there. And then he started to do the scream, and it just started cracking me up. I just think it's funny. But the neighbors, I'm sure that I just feel like I've outgrown this place so much. And that's the thing about the universe, like, knows. And it's like not a surprise. You don't surprise the universe like, oh, what are we going to do now? She doesn't want to live there. We're going to hurry and find it. No, it's already all set. It's like your emotions start telling you what's to come, kind of. Like, ahead of time. You know, like, oh man, I've gone out of here. I've got to get a different place. If the different place is, it's like it's already in alignment with you. It's already calling out to you. It's already, it's already in your pathway. And so it's not something like you have to figure out or whatever. So what was this? Because this was something else where I was like, maybe it was still about Archie. But it was so, anyways, I've been working on with his behaviors. But so when they start saying that somebody's going to adopt him, then I was like, well, you know, what is destiny then? Is it that he has this other family to go to? Or is he supposed to be here and learn and be a part of this pack and stuff? So I've been really trying to look at it through, you know, these eyes. Like, I don't want to interfere with his destiny over like me saying, no, this is what you need. And then so I was real honest with the lady. And then she was like, well, if you want to keep him, that's okay with us. We just want to find one that's the right fit, but we would really like to meet him and stuff. And I was like, well, I don't want to stand in the way of destiny. Like, you could meet him. But now, I keep on thinking, because she's got company and stuff, so it's got to be a couple days anyway. So she's like, well, think about it. So I've been thinking about it. And I think I'm just going to adopt him just because of a bunch of different things. But it definitely has that sense of, you know, when are you trying to force things and when are you trying to just go with the flow? And I can't remember. Maybe it will stick out to me because there was some other kind of thing. So right now, there was like yesterday when we went on our walk, there was some stuff that they did where it was just like they all three moved together, like in sync and stuff. I was like, how can I say he doesn't belong with them? They go out there and they move, and it's so cute because there are these three sizes. Yeah, let me pull over to tell me how cute these three sizes. But oh no, that was at the lake thing. The lady was following me and telling, oh, that's so cute. You got all the sizes. But when they were walking and they're all walking next to each other, and then they all stopped and they all turned their head together and they were all looking, it was like, I was like, oh, I gotta keep him. Like, this is just too cute. And then, so, but I've been trying to really pay attention on Max because I don't want to make Max have to be in hell with his dog just attacking him all the time. But the thing is with Archie, he seems really responsive to wanting to please and not be naughty, but he does get wound up. Like when they run out to the fence to bark, like if a truck's out there, delivery truck or somebody walking by or something, he gets like Winston. Winston would go out and start barking and running. His tail would be wagging, but if Stella went up, which she always, because Winston was older when I got Stella. So he was like 6 years old when he was teaching her. And that is where I started seeing like, oh man, there's certain dogs you don't want to teach other dogs. And so I could see his anxiety that he was putting off on her and getting her to run at the fence and bark, because he had done that his whole time since he was little, and probably because of how our yard was when he was really little. And there was a dog that lived behind us, and so it was probably their communication during the day or something. So anyways, he would go crazy when he would run the fence and he would start attacking Stella. And that would drive me crazy because she was so passive. She wouldn't. The only thing that she is bossy about is about like the rules. Like, she's very specific about the rules. And she'll come in and she will bark at them and bark at them. Like, it is so loud. And but she's like telling them. And then a lot of times she just gets right up on Max's ass. Like, I keep telling her, it's not Max. Archie's the one that's doing it. He's attacking Max. But so I'm like, poor Max, he's just getting it from both sides. So I keep giving him lots of hugs and kisses and stuff. And he really does like that sweater. Like, if you've got a dog that has anxiety, I'm telling you, like, I knew about the Thunder shirt. Even the neighbor said something to me the other day about him having the sweater on. And I said, yeah, it really, he loves it. And she started talking about the Thunder shirt that their old dog, and how that had helped him so much. And I'd known the other dog that had anxiety. And so the Thunder shirts really work. I think they're pretty expensive, but some of these dog sweaters are expensive. But his is kind of tighter anyways. But it's like it's like a hug. It feels like holding them or something. So, really helps Max with his anxiety, that's for sure. So, let's see. The weather is sucky. Everything's supposed to change as usual. Is this big moon? Um, Trying to sleep is ridiculous. The internet is crazy. There's one guy from One Direction. I don't know the whole story, but it seems that he was doing a bunch of drugs in the room and then went and jumped off the balcony. And people are saying, don't go look at the footage. It's horrible. And but there's a lot of footage of the room and stuff where there's tinfoil and powder everywhere. And then the footage shows that he didn't fall. He jumped. He leapt off. So he's probably, no telling what you're in some other country doing drugs. No telling what you're doing. Like, your brain could be telling you, yeah, you're going to fly, go. And the people go do it. And so who knows if he was really trying to kill himself. I don't know. We'll be flooded with his interviews and trying to break it down. What do you think he was really doing? I swear to God. It's like we go way off on trying to figure it out. Like, why did he kill it? Well, this story, this is, it's got me tore up. I don't even want to share it really, but it is so spreading. And it is like, I don't know. It's going to be the folklore story of this fucking tragedy that has happened. And it's like a fucking nightmare. And you want to think like, this can't be true. This can't be true. But fuck, man. This is like one of those stories like, how do souls come up with this horrible shit? Why? Like, fuck, man. And I don't know that each individual soul comes up with every fucking tragedy they're going to go through. I think we just go into these story templates, these storylines, and the storylines match what it is that we're trying to learn. But the lessons are fucked, man. On some of these, like, this one is horrible. So if you don't want to hear something that's going to horrify you and be trapped in your brain, where you're going to keep seeing it, and you haven't even seen it in person, but your brain will make sure that you create it. So you may want to just skip ahead. So I would say probably a couple of minutes. I don't know. But so this is in the story of the rescues, and it's a fucking nightmare over there. And now they've got a cold front coming. I think there was snow, rain. I think they had snow that was snowing, but it wasn't sticking because it was too warm. It's so absurd. Then so there, everything is being hit. And I always feel bad because I mean, these are just like the mountain people, just simple folk, just trying to live their life, not minding anybody's business, just minding their own, just living up there, trying to make it in their own little communities and stuff. But unfortunately for them, the people who want the resources don't give a fuck about people. And they've been out to wipe these people out anyways, because as far as they're concerned, if you don't want to live in their 15-minute city, you have no value. If you're not feeding their fucking system, their beast system, then you have no value. And they don't look at it as like the earth and the freedom and stuff like that. They look at it all as we're under their control. But that is why this total liberation of humans or mankind outside of the realm of control of these beasts, these people, whatever the fuck they are. And so anyways, they're out doing all this rescuing, and they're going, there's keeps being horrible things. Like they found 100 people in the barn, but the 100 people like had no food, no water. They've been in this barn for however long. Well, I don't understand why why the 100 people didn't go off and start going together and be like, okay, well, probably nobody's coming. We probably better go look for stuff ourselves. Let's rescue ourselves. And but anyway, so people got there, and then there's a whole thing of trying to get them supplies and stuff, because it keeps just trying to make it. That's why it's just going to keep on coming and hitting them harder and harder and harder. And this is going to be tragedy after tragedy. So they're out looking, and they find this man, and he's sticking just his head, like I think it's just like here. He's sticking out of the mud, and they come up on him, and he's alive, And he says, and I think this is, I've heard a couple different numbers going around, but I think this was like about a week into the rescuing. And so they find him, and so they say, you know, he asked to just be left there. He's like, just leave me here. I just want to die. And they're like, why? And he goes, because my family's dead. And they say, we're finding people alive all over the place, and your family could be alive. You know, we'll get you out, and well, your family's probably alive. We'll get you out to find them. And he says, no, they're not. And they're like, you know, how do you know? And he goes, because they're underneath me, and they stopped scratching my legs 3 days ago. Oh, God, this story just tears me up, man. It's so fucking horrifying. To be trapped in mud. That's something I've been horrified from since I was a child. And another thing that has always horrified me is being alive in a casket. I think that a lot of us have gone through lives like that, trapped in mud, trapped in debris, something falling on us and trapping us, being trapped in coffins. Like, we've all had these horrific experiences. And I think that it reminds us of like that panic of not being able to get out. I know that to me, it's like, oh my God, trapped in the dark like that, surrounded, not being able to move, like, oh my God. And, you know, like there was a little boy, it was a mom and a little boy talking about what happened at their house. And this one was a happy story because the dog rescued the little boy. So they were in the house, and the little boy was sitting and watching TV. The grandma was like, I don't know, by the kitchen or something. And she said all of a sudden she heard something, and she looked and she saw the walls shaking, and it was just like immediately, and it just went through, took the walls, just slammed in. And the boy said that when it hit in, it took him and threw him up against the wall. So this is what happened to all these people. And so it took him and it threw him against the wall. Then all the water crushed the walls in on them, and all the trees and debris coming, and then pushed everything more forward. And so this little boy got trapped the same way this man was, only he was completely under. You couldn't see him at all. But there's like spaces that they have gotten trapped in because of the thing. So they're not just all trapped where they can't move with the mud, but then the mud has kind of locked them in. Like the mud flood, fuck, dude. Yeah, the mud floods. Like, god damn. And then they know how this affects people, and they still choose this as the way to do us in. Like, these people are goddamn fucking evil, man. They enjoy our what is that word? Our misery. Like, that gets them off. And God, that's creepy. You know, I just also heard was oh well, I'll finish this. So the boy, he got thrown up against the thing moved and everything. With the dog, his dog got out of where he got thrown. The dog got thrown out of that something. And the dog found the boy, sniffed him, found the boy, and then sat right on top of where the boy was and barked and barked and barked, I think for like 2 days or something, until people came and found him and then dug him out and got him out. It might have been a few hours, but I think it seemed like it was a while. I don't know. But anyways, that one was a good story, but that told of like what it was like for all these people. So all these people are just sitting there, just, you know, that's what happens in disasters though, because we can all be just sitting here right now and an earthquake hit any second, tsunami come, anything can happen at any time. That's the thing. And we have to just be prepared for whatever goes down and know that we're at the time in our, in man's time, that we are at this time. And it's not the end of the world and all that, where people get all caught up in that. It's the end of the way things were, the way that we were trapped like animals and being used. Like, that's ending. Then we get to, it's like life starting over. It's like us getting to go out of the lab, just like how they're, you know, going and releasing all these different cows and monkeys and pigs and puppies and all this stuff they keep trapped in their testing. They keep us out here free range test, but that we get to be freed from that. And so it's like our lives get to start over. And that's why it's going to be such a huge wave of health. Like getting these people, because I see these girls all stressed out now about, great, now we're just going to go back into this super skinny trend. And they're all stressed out because they've lost hope. They've lost believing in themselves and stuff. And it really is a lifestyle change. I saw this woman yesterday who she was really irritated. And I could totally relate to what she was saying because it's true. Like if you are thin, you have people automatically tell you things like you are, like you're toxic, or you don't eat enough, you need to take better care of yourself, you're anorexic, and stuff like that. And it's the opposite because, yeah, you can be focused on what you're eating and stuff, but you're maneuvering it. Like you're figuring out, okay, what's healthy? How much can I eat of this? What do I need of that? Like you're really trying to figure it out to get what you need and take care of yourself. And then also in this new movement, it has so much to do with exercise and movement. It's not just doing exercise. You have to get yourself limber, which you can use yoga. I do a lot of ballet and stuff like that. So you can do dance stuff. You can do, like, maybe if you did sports in school and you learned all those different stretches, just spend some time every day doing those stretches. It's going to increase your mobility. And that is a part of the aging that they had created, was this lack of mobility. So you have to find your mobility again, which you can. I mean, I saw that 70-year-old lady out there just fucking doing all sorts of shit. And she was working with a trainer, but there's trainers and stuff on YouTube. Like, you don't have to go pay all this money to get somebody to train you. You could just, put your effort towards that. But anyways, this woman was really pissed because what people say to her, and she said, "Isn't that so crazy that you can be thin and people will tell you, like, it's no big deal. They can tell you all day long, well, you don't eat enough. You need to eat better. Yeah, of course you're going to be thin because you just don't eat right," and stuff like that. And she's like so mad about it. And she said, "Could you imagine if you went up to a fat person and said, well, you're fat because you don't eat right? But it's okay if you go up to a skinny person and say, well, you're thin because you don't eat right. You don't even go into the thing of like, boy, you take care of yourself, man. Like, how do you do it? Like, that's hard. How do you fight those impulses, those, where you want to go and eat, you want to go gorge up on some tasty food. And because there is, where you do have to work yourself through that. You can't just engorge in every impulse and eat everything you want and be thin. And that is where a lot of these people have to change their lifestyles. They have to look at food differently. They have to look at their bodies differently. Because a lot of people are used to overfilling it and then thinking their body's failing them because, well, they wanted it. They wanted to eat that. They wanted to drink that. They wanted to have that. Oh, yeah. The other thing with that I was going to say a minute ago was, so there's some guy with his NDA or whatever, NDE, whatever the thing is called, his is expired. So now he's speaking out on some podcast. And so he's saying he worked at a secret Starbucks. So he's saying that there is secret Starbucks that we don't know about, and they're for the 1% people. And he said the celebrities and stuff like that use them. He said, why do you think that when you go out into, in LA and you're stuck in traffic, why don't you ever see, like Will Smith sitting there? And he said, because underneath LA is a whole tunnel system. And in that tunnel system, they travel it, they use it. They could get, like, there's certain roads that you can go from here and get to the airport. You can go here and get there. So they use this system under there to travel. And that's where the secret Starbucks are. And they can just go in. And he said he's like served Jerry Seinfeld. And he said, like, he could tell Jerry's drink or whatever. And then the guy's like, oh, so he said, is he a good tipper? And he goes, they don't have to pay. They don't have to pay anything. They just come in and get these drinks and then just keep going. And so the guy said, well, did they build these tunnels? Like, he was asking him something about the system. He said, honestly, it seems like they built this city on top of this other city. which that is what they have been known to do. That is what this layering of our history is. That is why this of our current world is being flooded out and under the mud and all that stuff. This past is coming up. In our past is our future, because we've been lied to about our past. So once we understand our past, that leads us into our future. So all this stuff is connected. So it goes with this liberation of mankind. So to learn our truth, to learn our history. So the history is surfacing. And there's so many, it seems like there's more than just this. There's these comets and stuff being seen all over the place by people, and all this different footage of ships and comets and stuff like that. This one woman had this video of this, her husband takes these pictures of these comets and stuff outside of in their yard or whatever. So she has this one, and so she was going up close, and she was saying that, that there's little dot things in it, and then there was like the front thing. You could see the front thing. It did look like a headlight, 100%. And there was another one that was over I think it was, I'm going to say Argentina again, but maybe because Argentina is in the news for this other thing. But it was over, maybe it was in the UK. I don't remember, but it was this, maybe it was Pakistan. I don't fucking remember. But there's a spaceship, and it was up in the air, and it looked like it had tentacles and stuff. Like there's pictures of this too. And it looked like it had tentacles, but then when you went up close, it looked like a bunch of aliens all hanging on each other. Because that's the thing, is that what you think of as spaceships is more of an energetic, it's more of an energetic shield, protection to move through space and time with. Just like how we have these bodies here, but the bodies aren't us. We're inside this body. This body is our spaceship. And that is why I think that they try and get us on rubber and stuff. They want us to travel around on rubber wheels. They want us to travel around on rubber shoes and stuff. I swear it's something about, because they understand that we are in like our own little spaceship. And I think that is what we're going to kind of expand on as we evolve, is why we start being able to do more stuff with ourselves, is because our understanding deepens, and then our understanding deepening is what creates the change. And so I don't know, I think that humans will be able to do like levitate. I think they'll be able to jump and run and do some crazy movement kind of things. And like I've even seen some of these people who are really good with yoga, and I think this one guy's a dancer, and some of these stretches and stuff that these people can do, how limber some of these people are, it's like, whoa. But I think it is kind of like we all have to kind of be there. And I feel like the stiffness in our bodies is kind of telling us something and showing us something. And then we got to keep moving towards the releasing of the stiffness. And so, you got to do it through movement and stuff like that. But, and definitely this weird thing with my stomach. Like, I don't understand what it is. It's so weird. So, because it's right by my belly button. And so it's like right by my belly button. It feels like there's like this little cushiony part. But then over here where my, so right next to my belly button is my, my birthmark. And my birthmark is like it looks kind of like a comet, I guess. Because it goes down like that. So what it looks like to me, if you believe in your birthmarks being wounds from what killed you, which I do, and it definitely looks like somebody stabbed with a knife and then slit like that. So it looks like stab slight. And then I think from if this goes with what that psychic lady told me, it was like it was on this ship with these other criminals. And whatever criminal shit I did, they decided to kill me. So they stabbed me in the stomach. She told me this, and she didn't know anything about my birthmark. They stabbed me in the stomach, and then they pushed me overboard on the ship. And so I think that I carry some kind of real horrific pain from this situation, because I don't think, I don't think I died in the fall. Like I probably was bleeding and being eaten by sharks or some horrible thing. And so it gives me anxiety. It gives me horrible anxiety, like open water and stuff. Makes me feel super anxious. Knives, like there's certain things that make me feel like, oh. And so anyways, but right there where my belly button is, so in my belly button, the issue is that they looking into my body through laparoscopy several times, and they just punch through your belly button. And what's weird is how I had said before, my belly button was an outie, like where you have a hole. Mine stuck out, like I swear to God, that much of my belly button stuck out. It was embarrassing. Like I had this little weird belly button thing. And it was so embarrassing. And so but then I got pregnant, and then my stomach stretched out, and then when it went back, I don't know, my belly button didn't stick out like it did before. And so now it's kind of like very sunk in. Like it's very confusing, because it's like, where's the rest of my belly button? Like, this is really weird. So now it's like sunk in this super deep hole. Like, and it's not like real big. It's like this super deep hole, but in the hole is like, it's not my belly button. It's like, I don't even know what it is. It feels weird. And how it happened the first time was like I was doing something, and like I probably rubbed my stomach like that. And then I kept doing something, and I was like, what is that smell, man? What is that horrible smell? And then I don't know how long it took me to put it together that the belly button, the smell's coming on my belly button. And so I went in the first time I figured it out, and I took, like this was really making me feel like, fuck, like this freaks me out. And so I went in, yeah, that's funny, because now my insurance too is ended, which I'll talk about that because it's kind of trippy. So because FedEx delivered those yesterday. Oh yeah, because I got to talk about the mail thing too, because it's weird. And so I got some, what is that stuff? Peroxide on a cotton ball, and I was cleaning it. And I was thinking, like, when you have a baby and you use alcohol, but I didn't see any alcohol. But I was like, oh, peroxide. And then my belly button started burning really, really bad. And it had like a red rash inside of it. And we're talking about a tiny little hole with this weird little thing like at the back that I feel like it's just a trap door. Like, I think you could just poke through and go inside my body. Like, what the fuck is going on? And it's leaking something out, and it's right in this area where I'm obviously holding some kind of old trauma, 2 old traumas. And so and it's not like huge or anything, but I can definitely feel it. I can definitely tell, and I can see, and I keep trying to release it and stuff. But the things that's weird about this leaking out in my belly button is like toxins. Like I don't even sweat and have a bad smell anymore. Like, I've gotten all these toxins out, but for this to be coming out of my belly button, like, and then so I'm curious to people who have like these innie belly buttons, these little tiny belly buttons, is this like a normal thing where it just gets like something leaking out of it? Like, it's not just a smell. Like, there's a wetness, but maybe it's, sweaty belly button, and I'm just not used to it or something. But I've had this anything now for a long time, and I've never had this until all this detoxing and this whole thing. So, but maybe I had it and I just didn't notice. I don't know. It's very strange. So if you have a belly button that has like a lot of weird things, then that could help my anxiety. Because right now I feel like these toxins leaking out of my belly button. And it's like I just want to get them all out. Like, because it's, I don't know. It's very freaky, because your belly button is like your line to life. It's like, I don't know, where all of our whole thing comes through there. Like, I don't know. The whole thing has me really weirded out. But this other thing I was gonna say, just a second, let me think what it was. It's so weird how it can come into my mind and then it just goes and it's just like gone. And it's like I have to go back in and really try and find it again. Um, Let me think. It was I was thinking about taking the dog. I need to go get water. And I was thinking about taking them. It just keeps raining and raining and raining. And then I don't know why it's stressing me out so much to just go anywhere, but also to take Max and let him go and run because I keep getting really nervous. Like everything is like, there is definitely such an intenseness in the energy and it really creates anxiety to me. Like makes everything seem like, ooh, God, I don't know. Ooh, gosh, I don't know. Like nerves. Like it's, I don't know. Like, so, but I want to go and take them to go for a walk at the thing, get water today. So we'll see. I definitely need to go get water. I can't just be down to 2 waters because I don't know. I feel like if shit goes down, we need to be able, like, there's people, like, they're on 20 days or something with no help. So we can't just sit here. Like, there's so much of this, like, expectation that there's a savior coming for us. There's just like 100 people sitting in a barn waiting for a savior. All these people, like, and those of us who haven't gone through this yet, we got to pay attention and see, like, there's nobody coming to save us. When shit goes down, it's us. It's us. We have to come to each other. We have to help each other. There's nobody. And this is a part of this movement towards us liberating ourselves to be there for each other and to stop depending on these people, because that is what's gotten us in trouble, is our dependency on them. And they've acquired it, like they want it, they require it really. And but we have they've acquired it through manipulation, but they do have so much dedication. Like it is so strange. Like this is days now until this fucking bullshit with this fucking bullshit circle drawing in thing. And what's so weird is the blue people are so fucking nasty. I just saw a video guy talking about that he has been a dumb, and now, and this is a young guy, and he's voted that way, but now he says that he's going to go the other, and that he just can't even believe how nasty the people are, and that's what I saw too. As soon as I started saying the other thing, it wasn't like that these are your friends and they're like, oh well, tell us more about it. No, you were being attacked like you were racist. You were all these things that people would start calling you and saying. It was like, well, that's crazy. So I wasn't last week, but now this week all of a sudden I am. How does that work for y'all? Like that doesn't make sense to me. And so, but that is a part of the awakening and a part of these really nasty bully people. And it's so crazy is they're the ones who are so hyper vigilant on the rest of us bullying them, but they're the bullies. They're mean and vicious to people. And that Mama Tot stuff keeps playing out, but she's just really showing, you know, yeah, she's just trying to backpedal or play the game or something. And I'm telling you, any of these ways that to move forward when you get into these situations is to humble yourself. You got to humble yourself. And you got to be real. You got to be authentic. You got to call yourself out, because the amount of people's awareness to hypocrisy is on high alert. It's hyper vigilant towards the hypocrisy. People are really like, what the fucking hell? It's just so obvious to people. And so Mama Ta is just making herself look worse and worse and worse. Like, I don't know what her future is going to be. I don't know where she's headed. The amounts of videos of people using her talking and stuff, and she just keeps sounding ridiculous. And so it's that whole thing, like, but it's so true, is her thing was all so 3D. It was all this phoniness. It was a stereotypical person, made up person, and using stereotypes Like, we've got to not do that, you know, to increase her southern drawl, to make her more like, yeah, I don't know. It's just as time's up on the artificial. It's like people are just over it, and people want realness. People want to be real. They want to figure out how to be real. People are confused as to how to even become real. There's people who it seems like the most craziest thing. How do you become real? And to me, you just be true to yourself. Like, you got to being true to yourself, not trying to hide yourself, because that's where people find themselves getting trapped, is trying to hide themselves. And if you're trying to hide yourself, then you are judging yourself, because you've decided you're not worthy. You've decided that there's something wrong with you. So you're trying to change yourself so that you are more presentable to other people. And then if you are logging in what other people's expectation is, then you are too focused on what other people want from you instead of what you want from yourself. So it's all this shifting around of like it is like your POV shifting or something. Your point of perspective needs to be coming from what it is you want and stuff. And then you have to learn how to trust yourself, how to believe in your own things. And it's weird because it's going to be different. Like, some of the stuff that I've experienced won't be the same because it's been so few of people. So when a lot of people start experiencing that, it's going to go in a wave. So it's going to be a huge wave of people. And so there will be a lot of support because everybody will be going through the same kind of things. But there has been some of us who have been going through those things with no support, and you know, seeming crazy. And it's definitely like all the different things, like where I started heading in 2021, just even going and doing all this social media. Like, my family, like I've said before, there's not any of my family on here. Nobody's supporting me on any of that. They all would look at me as like, you know, oh God, what's she saying? How embarrassing is that? Like, what is she out there talking about? What's she doing? Is she talking about us? Is she talking about, you know? And and so it probably makes them very cringy, like they don't even want to know what I'm saying. But definitely there's no support. And me doing that, then it's like, in the questions from other people's minds would be like, well, what are you trying to gain? What are you trying to do? What are you doing here? You know, you're trying to be on YouTube famous or something like that. And it's like, no, I'm trying to do what I'm told. Like, my guides are telling me. And then people are like, what are you talking about? You don't. So there's been that whole thing for a long while. And and then when you're doing it and people just think like, oh my God, what is she doing? She's so strange. And so, but to me, it is, you know, I'm listening to my guides and my guides are showing me and telling me things. So it will play out in a certain way, but, and that's like a personal experience, because nobody else is in your head. Nobody else knows what your guidance is or what you're being told or anything like that. So to them, they're all looking at you like crazy. Oh yeah, that's what it was, the Tyra Banks one. Yeah, that is one that everybody is talking about. Like, I don't know, this is during uh, Fashion Week or something, I think. There's a bunch of fashion shows. So the first one I had seen was they were making fun of Nicole Kidman's daughter and her Nepo getting to open the show. So I guess the front walker, it opens the show. So they put this 16-year-old girl who's never walked a show before, and so she doesn't have a good walk. Like, it takes a while. Like, so she doesn't have a good walk. It's very blomp, 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 blomp. It's not gliding like how they glide, you know? And so people making fun of her. And I just think, like, some of these moms, like, Nicole Kidman should have known, like, that's what is going to happen. She should just be, why open the show? Why didn't she be towards the back or something? And how much time did she spend on her doing her walk? Like, so I, you know, the same thing as like fucking Kim putting her kid up there in that big thing and paying to have her kid go on sing when she can't. Like, it's so weird. Like, I don't get it. And I mean, I just feel like it's like putting pressure on these kids and humiliating them and stuff. It's like, just let them fucking be kids. Like, you don't have to force them to go and, oh, you're going to be a model. And I mean, a lot of those doors open up for these people anyways. And I'd seen a thing like them talking about all these tall, the tallest actor kids or something. And I think that Ireland Baldwin, Alec Baldwin's oldest daughter with Kim Basinger, I think she's like 6'2". Like, she's a model. John Travolta's daughter was the shortest one they were talking about, and she's 5'10", and she's a model. They were all talking about all these things, but so all these videos about modeling and nepo kids and all this stuff, and the Fashion Week and stuff. So what is that one? I used to really like, what are they called again? I keep hearing Virgin, but that's not what they're called. Definitely. See, Pink is the brand. No, there's a V. Is a VS. Oh, Victoria's Secrets. Okay, so Victoria's Secrets. So they had their big spectacular show, which they always have this big show, which I don't even know. Like, I didn't know, like, there's a thing, like, people get their wings or something on this show. Like, it's a big thing. And so there's all these people talking about this stuff now. So, but Tyra Banks came and walked the show. And so people are all like up on her like crazy. And they are, you know, kind of not just making fun of her, but calling her out. Because apparently that one show, it must have been watched. But, well, it's the same people talking because they're watching this Fashion Week. And so there was a show that was America's Next Top Model. And Tyra Banks was one of the judges. And at the time, she was very thin and a well-established model. And so all these different young girls would come on this show and try and get, I think, modeling contracts or help, you know, like coaching or something, like give them feedback on what they need to do or whatever. And so all these girls are saying that Tyra Banks was rude to all these girls. She would tell them they were fat. They don't have a model's body. They said she was so rude and so hateful to these people, always about their weight and ridiculing them, putting them down, causing girls to cry and stuff. And so now she hasn't walked a show, I guess, in 20 years. And now she's had a kid. She's 50 years old or whatever. And so she came out and did this one. And now she claims to be a plus size model, which all these girls are like, oh my God, are you fucking kidding me? How rude you were to everybody who was overweight. Now you're a plus size model. And, but everybody's making fun of how she looked and the shape she's in. They're like, oh, so she's way fatter than the girls that she was putting down. And so how's that, Tyra? Like, they're all like, and that's what I'm talking about, the hypocrisy. But that is also what I was talking about, where I said, in my life, if I would be judging somebody else, I would live that. So to me, that's what Tyra is experiencing. What she put out is going to come back to you. What you put out comes back to you. And so Tyra is getting it back on her, what she was putting out. And see, it doesn't have to happen right away. It has its own timing. And the timing has a very significant impact. Like, everything is about these impactful moments of us and our learning. And so those things are there for us. And even though it's going to feel like humility and stuff, but that's where you got to humble yourself. Like, Tyra should come out and say, yeah, like, fuck, I was really, and I'm sure she also got caught up in I think on all these reality shows, they want him to create drama, to be an asshole and stuff. Like Simon, you know, and what a dick he was to people and stuff. I'm sure he was promoted by the makers of the show because that is what people would tune in for the drama. And so Tyra may have not been such a bad attitude towards girls overweight, but she could have been. I mean, she does have like some big ego on her. So whatever, whatever she put out is coming back on her. But when it does come back, the best thing to do is take your learning and look at things and then just humble yourself, you know, call yourself out on your own stupidity, your own ignorance, and the opportunities of learning are right there and that you're taking them now. So that's what Mama Tot needs to choose a side. She needs to decide who she wants as her following. And then, you know, if that's what she wants to do is be divisive. And also, this guy who went and did all this research, because now she's got people coming out of the woodwork of their relationships with her. She just seems like she's just not a nice person. This is a big phony front that she puts on. It's an act. Just like when I had seen her in the very, very beginning, all I could see was Minnie Pearl. I saw this woman putting on this act of this country woman. And so I was, the only thing I ever listened to her was when I heard her talking about her son being murdered. Because I thought, oh my God, you know, you got all these people's eyes on you. You have this horrible tragedy happening. And how do you handle it? She went through like a week of crying. And that is one thing that people keep saying too about her is that she's so attention grabbing and always playing the victim and stuff. See, all that energy is energy that's being purged out of our society. And it's going to come out. I have said for a long time, it's going to come out, and some big accounts are going to fall in this very dramatic way. And hers won't be the only one. I'm sure there will be more. This just keeps going. It's like, you know, it's like there's fires lit everywhere, which in the micro macro, there is fires lit everywhere. And there's a new fucking wildfire in Arkansas or something. And then when people go in, they look at the fire map, it shows there's fires everywhere over here on the West Coast, which I don't even ever, I don't know of any over here right now, but they're saying on the fire map there's a whole bunch, which I don't know how could it even burn when it's fucking raining. But I know it's not raining everywhere, and I know that they do turn up the sun when it's out. But you know, like we had it for whatever, an hour or something, which I just thought was funny because it was like after I just said, well, the sun's been gone now and we won't be seeing it, and then it just pops out. And I think it pops out like if I was not in the forest and I was out in the field somewhere or in the valley, that I would probably see it more. But it is, you know, in Seattle over here on this, it is just overcast all the time. It's like, I don't know. On the East Coast by the shoreline, is it not overcast all the time? Because it sure is on the West Coast. And and still, you know, not knowing what is next. But there is so much weird sounds outside. Oh my God, it is so fucking creepy. I don't even know how to explain it. Because I've tried to get it on sound, but I don't think that people can hear it well enough. So what it sounded like first, because, well, I think that I'd been hearing these weird sounds for, I don't know, a while, a couple weeks or something, and it sounds like in the forest or something. But where I would think like, well, is that some dogs or something? Maybe that's somebody's dogs crying or something. But this is just seems like it's gotten creepier or something. It, because so the other day I was outside and I heard sounds, and I was like, man, is that some kind of a machine? And so I went and I was listening. It was this really weird sounds like woo, woo. And I was like, what in the world machine is making that? And why is it so loud? But I don't know. I'm not in everybody's garage. I don't know all these different machines these guys buy. So I was like, okay, it could be a machine, or it could be, you know, whatever they're running this reality with. And but then there started being like these sounds like in the forest, and it's like a merging of like howling and crying and screaming, all these like weird, really weird animal noises. And Where to me, I was like, I don't think it's Bigfoot or something. There's way too many. And I don't think it's coyotes out just all day doing that. But it definitely sounds like some creepy fucking shit in the forest. Like, fucking stay out of the forest, man. I don't know. I know that everything keeps opening up, like this thing with this, what is his name now? I don't remember if I talked about him on here already, because this whole thing is getting so big with the Miami Mall situation. So apparently there was a guy who was there, and this is the kind of stuff where it's like, I don't even know that I believe any of this shit. So, but this is the storyline that we're supposed to be following. There was a guy, his name's like Diego or something, and he was at the mall. And when shit started going down, he filmed it all. So he got all this stuff on film. So this is even, I saw the guy before Congress talking about it. I've seen some cop or something doing a press conference. So they're all looking for this guy. Now he's like America's most wanted or something. The government wants this guy because he has, what do they call it? Secret, the stuff that they want to hide from us, whatever they call it. However, whatever, what do they call that? Because it's supposed to be, I think this month or this year is the release of all information. They can no longer contain any information. Everything is supposed to be released. And that's what we're in this process of. But so, you know, this is all a part of the show or whatever. Because they're saying he has this secret information that nobody is, whatever it is that they call that, nobody can see it. It's government secret information that they've got to get his phone and all these pictures because it can't be released to the public because the public will freak out. And so they're looking for this guy, and he's on the run with all his videos of what happened at the mall with the aliens. And so he's going to start releasing these videos or something. I don't know. So anything can be going, but this is definitely at this time of disclosure of the what they tried to lie to everybody and tell people that there was no such thing as aliens. Now everybody's got to find out that, yeah, there's other beings all around us. They're always all around us, and it's not in outer space, and it isn't like ships like what we think of as they travel. It is the way that those ones were all hanging on each other too. Very strange. Like some of this stuff too can be some of their blue screen, whatever, because this is like a movie screen. It's like the firmament is a movie screen or something. And so some of this stuff can be their own footage that they're trying to convince us. But it all is about this disclosure, because we all have to learn about the truth, because the truth is that, you know, we are ancient beings. There is ancient beings. There's tons of ancient beings. They're multi-dimensional. They just travel through dimensions. It doesn't have anything to do with outer space. And we don't even have an outer space like that. We just have space, just like the same as like when the water came in and it moved the walls and pushed that guy up against the wall, and there was spaces. And just like the guy who his whole family was underneath him in spaces, they couldn't even get out to get air. So they suffocated in there because they, you know, there's only a certain amount, and he couldn't move enough because the mud had compacted him so much. So he couldn't give them more air. He couldn't get it to them. And so, but that is what the universe is like. It's spaces. It's not a big open space and everybody's traveling and we're zooming around. That was all to get us to try and minimize our existence. And it's, but, you know, in the flip side, it's going to maximize, because that's not real. Everything that they tried to convince us. We are ancient, and we are not just human. We are all different things from all different places, all different beings. And a lot of us are big mixes of a whole lot of different things. And all the mixing is to bring in a place of peace. So It's like taking all of these beings, like what I was talking about, like when things began. And so all these different beings that have been out here who have created themselves in their own existences, then the battles, like the battles of the gods, like these people, like we're moving hurricanes. Well, is it the Christians or is it the meditators? Like, who's going to claim it, you know? And so all the gods arguing, and then, well, which way are we going to move it? We're going to move it here, we're going to move it there, could do this, could do that. Like all of us as gods trying to make these decisions. So that is what it has been like in the past, where you really get into sync with the universe is when you rely on the universe, you play that power. So it's like you go into the power of the universe, and that power is the energy. But see, that energy can't be manipulated. Once you start trying to manipulate it, then you've changed, and then you've gone into this opposing the energy that is at movement. Now you've decided you know what's best for that energy. You know what it needs to do, where it needs to go. And why is a human or an energy, do you think that you know what's best for another one? And that is where you got to question yourself. Everything is about questioning yourself to understand yourself. And that is what changes everything in our existence, because we all start questioning ourselves and we all start taking command of ourselves, but we all start taking responsibility for ourselves and how we feel. And we stop making like, oh, this person caused this. We start moving into this, taking responsibility for our own feelings. And then that's the only place that you can move through changing, is by taking responsibility for it. If you keep blaming other people, then nothing changes. You just stay in your misery of feeling like this other person has control of your emotions. And so it's, you do yourself a favor by taking responsibility. It's a whole, like the steps to freedom is taking responsibility for your own emotions and not blaming other people for how you feel and what happens to you. So, and there's something that, it seems like that there's a lot of stuff about that's playing out right now too. So today's the 17th. So 10/17, which all these dates are, now they're sitting there telling us that there's more zodiac signs, that none of us are the zodiac sign that we think we are. They've changed the dates of them. Like all this stuff is so wacky, man. And I don't know. I haven't seen the moon. I'm assuming it's really full. Like people have been taking pictures. So that is apparently, and then it's supposed to be this full moon in Aries that's supposed to really bring up a lot of stuff. So it's going to probably be more intense, and the people who are trying everything that they can to not face themselves is going to get more and more uncomfortable. People are going to become more and more uncomfortable until they're ready or able to face themselves, because everything is going to keep pushing you to face yourself. And until you can, is that you hold yourself back. And when you are holding yourself back, you got to be asking yourself why. Is there's people who do not want to face any of their stuff. They don't want to look at themselves. They don't want to think about themselves. They don't want to think about their pain, their past. And it is like, that's the only way to release it. You can't hide from it. It doesn't go away because you're not looking at it. It sits in there dormant inside of you, eating away at you. And it is what causes cancers and stuff. So you have to, you know, face the things that bother you, and, look at them. And they're going to look a lot different as an adult than they do as a child. And because that one thing, like the whole Dickie thing, that really threw me, because that really was for so long. And I just saw so much of him rejecting me that I never was seeing me rejecting him. And like, it's just so weird how we just play out so many toxic things, and we just have no understanding of ourselves. But like, things would have played out way different if I would have had more understanding of myself, if I would have been more of an adult But, I wasn't an adult then. I was an abused little child. Like, I was toxic as fuck, man. When I look back at myself, like, I wouldn't have wanted to be married to me either. Like, goddamn. I think I was very toxic. And my neediness or something is why would I go with so many people who were so abusive towards me, unless it was, especially the first one, man. And then it's just so weird how the second one, I thought I was making this huge change, but fuck, he had, I don't, he had a lot of demons. He had a lot of demons. I don't know if he's released them all. Like, all of these guys have had a lot of demons. And demons in the sense of their own toxic shadow following them that they are not facing. You got to face your demons. You got to face the things that are inside of you. That's the only way to find balance. And but to those of us who were out there, being married to other toxic people, we were also toxic. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I was some perfect saint and I just somehow ended up with these people who had no respect for me or something. No, it's because I ended up with them because I didn't respect myself. If I would have respected myself, and this is something that I heard somebody say the other day that I thought was really good, was somebody said, these people are so busy checking the boxes, they're not even looking for the red flags. That, yeah, you got to focus more on the red flags. You're like, oh, this would work for me, this would work for me, this would work for me. And then you want to ignore all the things that won't work for you. You got to see, but you can't just focus, because there's people who just focus on what won't work for them because they don't think anything will work for them. And they got to find balance coming from the other direction. They got to start believing like, oh, well, we all have to find wherever we're leaning in, we got to pull ourselves into the other direction and find this balance. So if you're leaning in one thing, you got to go and find the other side. And, you got to look for the other side to pull yourself up to find your balance. And, what was this one too? My stomach's growling like crazy. This other one I had just seen that I was like, there was something about it that I thought was important. So weird. So weird how they come into my mind. And if I don't see them right that second, then it's just like, well, I'll see you later. Let me think. Because it seemed like, because I was looking this morning when I got up, I was looking for videos to try and see what's going on. And it was just so much about this guy who has died. And then more with this fucking ridiculous November bullshit coming up. And I just can't even believe, like, the people who are supportive of these blue people. Like, there's people who legitimately support her. It's mind-boggling. There's so much weird stuff to watch this play out. Like, what is going to happen when these people see the truth? Like, they are literally supporting this person. And they don't see this stuff. It's so weird. And, let me think. There was something like that one guy. But there was another one. He was talking about something that was happening, and I thought that's interesting too. Oh, another thing too is that meat recall. I heard somebody yesterday say, what if all this recall is really because this stuff was being put out to us as being very full of a lot of stuff that's not good for us, and so it is the other side that is recalling it and pulling all this stuff off the shelves. However it goes, if it is or isn't, but all these things are to wake us up, like to get us to see like that having other people be making our food is not good. And we have to get more into being more independent in how we feed ourselves and take care of ourselves. And that just goes and goes and goes. And I just saw this guy, and he was talking about that he's been detoxing for 2 years, and he just went to bathroom a live worm. He said, so you got to keep, don't be thinking that you get this done in like a a one-time shot or 1 week or even 2 months or whatever. He said he's been doing it for years and just went to the bathroom alive for him. But the thing is you got to remember is that we are constantly consuming more of this shit. That's why you got to stay on top of it. There's a constant consumption, and that they are putting, I can't tell you how many different food things and videos I've seen of people getting worms in their food. So there's definitely, and it makes sense to me that we would be having all of this um, toxic stuff would be being pulled off of the shelves. And it would be this big show so that we would start, it's all about this opening conversations and seeing. And, oh, and there's another trend that I've seen is it's called dense bean salad. And so it's a trend where all these people are like, eat dense bean salad for a week and changes your life or something. Well, I eat beans all the time. And I've been saying for a long time that that is the alternative. And then there's all this more information that keeps coming to me and coming to me about the beans, and beans have way more protein, way more of this stuff. And so all of this bullshit of trying to get people to eat meat and stuff, cows and pigs and stuff, I think it's because they wanted us to be able to eat rotting, decayed flesh, because that is like, was going to make us sicker to eat other death. And then, oh, what was the other thing too? Because there was another thing. Oh, yeah, because I think it was also a way that because what they eat, us, and then they needed to discard the remains. So there had to be a way to discard them, and they couldn't just blatantly tell us to eat each other. And so they had to get us to eating animals. I don't know. I heard more of Finkelstein's fucking bullshit. But I think that that is more of what it is. Because way back, well, there is a place, like I had just seen this, like you wouldn't even think this place exists. I think it's over by, is it by Norway or by Iceland or someplace? And it is supposed to be the coldest city, and it's got like 300,000 people live in this city. And in the winter, it's like 40 below or 80 below or something. Like you can't even go outside. And the people walk around these giant furs and stuff. But they said there that the main thing that people eat is meat because it's so cold that they can't grow anything. And that is what I'm talking about, what I've talked about before, is in your DNA structure. That's why you can't just go and say, well, I'm going to be vegan now. You have to follow what your DNA is, because there is times and places that you have existed, and that is how you did exist. And that is like they only can eat meat. That's all they got. And then that has been a part of human history. There has been places and tribes and stuff that there was no vegetables and stuff to eat. So when you're trying to figure out what to eat, then that is in your DNA. So that is where you're going to be pulled. And then it has to be more of a spiritual compilation of ideas and thoughts that move you out of wanting to eat that way of a restrictive diet and move into this other way of being more open to other nutrients and stuff that you can get from other food. And so on the bean thing, so now you got all these people doing this dense bean salad, and all these people are starting to see like, oh my God, beans are good. And they're so versatile, and you can do so much. You can put so much sausage, you can add them here, add them there. Like, oh, there's so much stuff you can do with beans. And, but then it's also having people be like, what's the deal with the beans? Do they give you guys gas? So there's some people that don't realize that they give you gas, but the reason they give you gas is like if your biome, your gut biome is out of balance. So that's where your body is giving you signs of what you need to work on. And so if you're eating beans and your stomach gets really bloated and gassy and stuff, it's because if the food is in there rotting and there's nothing in there destroying it. So you got to increase your good gut biome, which you can do through probiotics, but you have to take a lot, which I found kombucha was helpful, but that also, for some people, that can create more of an imbalance. There's you can put big vinegar in beans is something that I learned as a kid. If you put some vinegar and beans in, there was also stuff called Beano, which I'm not sure what that is. but it also reduces the gases. You also soaking your beans and dumping the water and then washing and then boiling them in fresh water, that can reduce it. And then also you can put like a little vinegar in your beans, but you can also just take a spoonful of vinegar. You can take a spoonful of vinegar, apple cider vinegar every day if you can find real stuff. And that will increase your gut biome. So there's things that you can do, and there's doctors out there that explain it, and nutritionists and stuff. Which there's also a thing now of what was that? It was what's her name? I think she's married to not Ryan Reynolds. What's the other guy's name? Ryan Gosling. And what is her name? I think it starts with an E. And she's Latin. And so she was doing, and she was on Instagram. And now there's this whole thing with Kellogg's. Like there's a big giant thing going on, or all these protesters are down there because so many people are outraged over the poisoning of America. And so she was talking about something with that. And her, of course, she's going to get a lot of attention because she's famous and married to someone famous. So she, she's famous. And, I mean, she's famous on her own, but especially with her husband, he's super famous. And, so of course people are looking at her account. She got just whooped up on, man. And they were doctors coming in and saying there's no problem with these dyes. Are you ridiculous? Don't go spread misinformation. So stupid. And then, but the ones was the dietitians. So this whole, all these dietitians coming on and telling her, she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about, and these things don't have any problems. Like, there's no problems with Americans. Like, we're just all getting cancer and dying and autism, all this stuff. Like, it just happens because we're just a bunch of weak ass bitches. No, it's because we're fucking being poisoned. And so where somebody was talking about that, and they went in and was doing research on the people that were attacking her, and finding out that these people are all owned by these other corporations. And so there's a whole thing where they're saying that there's like a whole movement of these dietitians that are being paid by this group to come and spread misinformation. And I don't know if they're doing it on purpose or if they believe this stuff, because you got doctors who believe the bullshit that they spread. So they're spreading misinformation, doctors all day long. Fucking nurses, all of these people are spreading misinformation. But is it based on the information that they know, or are they purposely? That is where a lot of things has to do with intention. So what are you intending to do? What are you trying to do? Is way more than, like, when you do things out of ignorance, it's not the same kind of karma as it is when you do something purposely. So if people are purposely trying to misguide us and, I don't know, increase the amount of chemo drugs that are being used so that they get a kickback or something, like that would be, like there will be not a good outcome. The universe will slap back in a profound way. And like, they'll lose everything. Their life will fall apart. It won't be good. And so that will be the thing for a lot of these people. And people's lives are going to just like Mama taught. People's lives are just going to start blowing up. And she's to the point where people are saying, like, she's going to be fucked because that is her money. This is how she survives. I don't know if she's went and bought a mansion. Seems like somebody was saying something about that, but there's so much fucking just chitter chatter going on. But I just know that these things are going to keep blowing up because there's a certain energy that's going to be fed and one that is being not fed. And the artificial, superficial, shallow, angry, bitter, divisive, all of those energies are being purged out of society. So people who will continue to feed those energies are going to find a repercussion to what they put out. And then the people who are more motivated towards unity, like there's a bunch of people who have got land, who are opening land up, There's a guy who's got like 20 acres in Texas, and he's building a community. He wants, anybody who wants to come out there. I think he's by El Paso or something. Anybody who wants to come out and build a house and become a part of his community, he's serious. There's a bunch of these different people doing this. And so and I said, this is going to start happening. There's going to start being a lot of that. And those people would be following their, I would say, man, my stomach has been so upset lately. Like, man, I'll get like this wave of nausea and then this burping. Like right now, this is a huge wave of nausea where I feel like I'm gonna puke. I don't even know where the fuck this all this shit. Oh, I'm so sick of this shit, man. I'm so sick of being fucking sick. I'm sick. Fuck, I'm so fucking sick of this shit. God damn, this has gotta fucking change, man. And I know it's leading up to it. I know it's not like I start thinking like, oh, this isn't going to happen. No, it's going to happen. It's just like it's so fucking tedious. And this goddamn fucking poisoning us and making us sick. It's just like, God, fuck, man. I don't even know. But definitely it makes me not want to go somewhere when I feel like this. But then I want to go somewhere because I want to take the dogs because they enjoy it so much, and I gotta go get water. Something just popped in my head again. Let's see if I can catch it this time. Going to get water. The dogs like it. Going someplace. Man, I don't know. I've been talking a long time anyways. So anyways, I don't know. Everything is just going to keep blowing up and going south and for different people, different storylines playing out. Lots of bad stuff is going to continue to happen. And, we just got to keep going with the flow. There's going to keep being more of these communities. They're going to be popping up. And that is each person on their own discernment and stuff, because you can't say for sure, like, oh, every single one of those is a for sure deal. Go and you will be set in the right place, because it can be this group of souls is going to come together, and then there's going to be a disaster that's going to happen there, and they're going to come together, like anything can happen. There's not, like, I believe you me, I try and think of like, well, would it be safe if I went here, went there, like thinking about these trees falling in. And then it's like, well, maybe I just need to go out somewhere out in the desert where there's no trees. But then the earth can just open up and swallow you. There's no getting away from what is meant to be is meant to be. And however things are going to play out. And those of us who are going to live and those of us who are going to leave, it's already written. And I think that we have an indication inside of ourselves that gives us a feeling over what we're doing here. If we're here to be a part of the ending, or if we're here to be a part of the beginning. But just remember that anybody who's here for the ending, that's not the end of them. That's not the end. No, it's just the end of this storyline. It's the end of this movie. But just think about, like, when a movie's over, that actor just goes in another movie. And then he plays a different part. That's the same thing that happens with all the souls. So that part ended, then they just go and play another part. And this is just a really cool time because for those of us who are staying, we don't have to exit. We get to go forward with all this knowledge, because to me, there's always this, when you exit, there is a leaving behind, just like how we have to sit here and try and figure out like our past lives and what we went through and how to release it and stuff like that. That us figuring it out, see, it brings us into this forefront. It brings us into this other state of consciousness. Then to me, it's like, but that ends when you go and you have to start over. Then it's like starting over. So to me, it's like, this is an opportunity to move forward without having to start over. We get to have an accumulation of knowledge and carry it forward. I'm always getting these weird words in my head. The other day I was talking to the dogs, and I was telling them, I got to do my work, and I'm working towards us getting our a bigger yard and more animals and stuff like that. And I said, we're going to create our own little Mecca. And I had no idea. Why did I even say Mecca? What's a Mecca? And then, so I asked Siri, what's a Mecca? And it was something over in the Middle East, a place. And some guy was born at this Mecca. That was the only thing that had popped up. So Mecca is a place. And so I don't know if it's a place in the middle. I don't know if I was there before. I don't know if I lived a life there. And that's why it came into my mind. So I don't know. All this stuff is like all of us to find out for ourselves, or is it just communication and you just don't know who all you're communicating with all the time? And there's so much fucking noise right now. Like, oh, are you motherfucking kidding me? And so I'm sure you have got a lot of communication going that you may not even know. It could be giving you a lot of anxiety. It could be making you feel overwhelmed. It could be making you feel exhausted. So just, work on the communication. Whenever you have got these thoughts fluttering in your mind, talk back to them. Ask questions. No matter how weird it seems, just do it. I'm telling you, you'll start realizing that there's people talking in your head and they're telling you things that you don't know, and it's not you. It's not you creating thoughts. There's people talking in your head, telling you shit all the time. So it's like I've said before, it's like you're an antenna. And it's like your hair's an antenna, you're an antenna. You're picking up stuff from around you. And that is a part of our, not knowing our truth creates confusion. So there's going to be more and more coming into our truth, and more letting go of our past, letting go of what we thought we were, how we thought we had to live, letting go of all of those and moving into this new distinct vision of ourselves. And each of us creates our own vision of ourselves. And so keep going towards that. But you got to be aware, too, that you're working on your discernment, you're working on your balance, you're working on your understanding, you're working on your communication. There's a lot at play. And so, anyways, the whole spiritual thing can be overwhelming. I'm sure it's very overwhelming to some people. But the people who are here to work on it, is that it's a lot of working parts. And so I don't know, I think that can keep you busy right there. So just remember what you're doing, though, is trying to learn how to love yourself, love everyone, and how to have a loving day, because it's totally up to you. So have a loving day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.